Do you remember it being challenging choosing the final concept?
Look, it was very challenging. I don't know if you remember, but one gave the idea of like a...
I remember.
You remember very well.
I remember. So I thought an amazing place to start would be a little bit about Lucios, the history, your family history, and just like how the restaurant came to be in Noosa.
This is kind of a continuation of a family legacy of restaurants going back about 75 years.
Yep.
My grandparents started a restaurant in Italy that's still being run by their cousins in the late 50s. That's the same restaurant Dad grew up in. And then Dad came over to Australia, started his own restaurant, Lucios, in Sydney. And then when we opened up here, 40 years after he opened Lucios in Sydney, we wanted to keep the name, to keep that legacy going. He built something pretty special down there, and we wanted to keep that memory alive through what we're doing now.
Having those like rich values and that history, how did you sort of expect that to come into the rebrand of Lucios?
With the rebrand, it was the same as building the restaurant from nothing, building it from fresh. And how do we convey the rich history behind the business with something that looks brand new? And I think we did create a place that felt like it had been here for a long time, that felt warm and inviting, even with a brand new build. The whole idea with the branding was to bring that same energy into this new space as well.
A lot of people listening would not have experienced like a rebrand, and so I thought it could be cool just to recap kind of the process and reflect on like what we went through coming to you. At the beginning we came to the restaurant.
Sat down over there.
We sat down over there and we really went through a bit of a reverse brief process, which was kind of digging out that history of the restaurant, asking you what your like business goals and plans would be, and just figuring out kind of where you want to go and what that could look like from a branding perspective. Do you remember then we presented 2 mood boards and you chose the gusto direction that we came up with, which was all about like strong geometric fonts and confidence. Was there a reason you chose that more modern, more confident direction over the more traditional mood board that we also presented?
I think these days, especially where we are as a new business and in an area off the beaten track, let's say, we want the limited attention time we get from people to really stand out. We also wanted to convey the confidence we have in ourselves, you know. We didn't want to, we have a long history. People think of us as an old-fashioned place, and we were also scared of having the branding reflect that old-fashioned values when we are very much a modern establishment.
It was quite fun from a brand perspective, combining that kind of history aspect with like a contemporary view as well. And we presented 3 concepts to you in the end, which had like a logo design, brand colours, typography, and some illustrations. Do you remember it being challenging choosing the final concept, or was that easy between the 3?
Look, it was very challenging. I don't know if you remember, but one gave the idea of like a...
I remember.
You remember very well.
I remember. They came from within.
They came from within. It was tough to choose because one conveyed elegance and like, you know, the feeling of like high-end luxury brands, which we definitely are. But then I was scared that that would give too much of an old-fashioned feeling. And I think the one we went towards, which was a bit bolder, I felt was going to capture people's attention better, and then they get the elegant experience when they come in. And you know, no looking back now, everything looks amazing now.
Yeah, and that actually brings me to the fact that after that, we played with the colours a little bit. There was a few colour palettes we tried out with that concept. We chose the pistachio, wine red, and the light blue colour. Also built out illustrations for you in the restaurant, and that told a little bit more of the story of, you know, there's an illustration of you and the olives and the Italian history, and that was kind of a playful way to extend the brand. From there, we rolled out the brand on all of the collateral, the menus, the stationery. How did it feel for you at that point just to see it all kind of come together and be on and in the restaurant?
It was like a breath of fresh air, you know? Being able to finally convey digitally, in-house, you know, everything. We work really hard on the product, which is the restaurant, you know? But then trying to convey the quality of the product to people before they even step in the door. The branding really turned us into the restaurant we've been trying to build over the 3 years. You know?
And was there any part of the process to you that stood out?
I'm a person obsessed over details, and I can get lost in this like paralysis of choice, you know?
Yeah.
And then having you guys come in so confident and strong and standing behind those options even when I was wavering. Bringing that confidence and that peace of mind into the decisions was very helpful, because left to my own devices would still be figuring out which color and which font to do. But you know, you guys, you know,
that's what
you stopped me and you said we need to make a choice.
We need to go with pistachio green.
Exactly. That was the, you know, invaluable part of the experience.
We absolutely loved working with you on the branding, Matteo. You had some amazing references and some amazing vision with it, and I've loved seeing it all come to life. And I guess the next part of the process was wanting everyone to know about the rebrand, so we decided to do some digital ads and a campaign, which brings us to Nat.
What was the overall aim for the digital ads when you came to us?
Similar with the rebranding was get people to know what we're about and set those expectations accordingly. So many customers now are making up their minds of a place without even going to our website. You know, they'll see something fly past on Google or on Instagram and they're making decisions then and there. So it's no longer enough to have an amazing restaurant, an amazing website, amazing food. You've got to catch them at the beginning. Once we'd built the branding and built the restaurant to a level we were confident in, we said, okay, now's the time to tell people about it, and how do we best do that?
Yeah, I definitely think that's where we've taken the direction of the strategy as well. We've got a very core sort of loyal customer base here, but we want to expand that sort of reach, the people that are visiting, as well as people just on holiday. I think that's definitely where we're taking sort of both the Google and the Meta strategy. One of the things that we're most proud of as an agency is the growth in general of those audiences that we've established in terms of growing the reach month on month. We saw a 10-fold increase in impressions, so we went from 20,000 impressions on Google to 200,000. It sort of skyrocketed ever since we made some adjustments in the account.
We then sat down together and said, okay, how can we reach more people? You know, it was great to be able to work together and really refine who was finding us, and we really saw that pay off, which was incredibly impressive.
Yeah, definitely. And it's not just the impressions as well. I think it was 4 times the amount of clicks month on month that we've...
Yes, we were getting the right people.
Getting the right people.
Spent a bit of time figuring it out, but it paid off immensely. And now the right people are finding us. We're here in Noosa and we were trying to get like Brisbane weekenders and date night crowds coming into the restaurant, and we've seen that improve. You know, these things are hard to measure, but you can see that anecdotal increase in that type of customer.
And even across Meta as well, not just Google, we are seeing that uptake in sort of engagement rate, increased click-through rates as well, was up by 25% month on month. So we are seeing that engagement from new people as well. Good results all around. What advice would you give for maybe other restaurants that might want to take a dive into digital ads?
Digital ads, I think now they're one of the core pillars of running a business, but you have to wait until you're ready and confident with your product first. You can't advertise your way to success, but it's going to be part of your success story, if that makes sense. Find your customer base, find your product, find what you're doing, be confident in that. Then when you're ready, tell the world about it.
Thank you so much for meeting with us. It's been so good going on this journey with you and watching the business grow and just seeing the evolution of Lucios. I feel like you go from strength to strength.
It's lovely to be working together.
Yeah.
Now time for lunch.
Yeah, let's eat.